We're live?
We're live.
Wow.
Thank you for having me.
Eric Boss.
Yes, sir.
Is Boss your real name?
No, it's actually really funny when people ask me.
Is it a brand name?
When people ask me, it's a moniker. It's a nightlife moniker.
Oh.
I actually got it, and it's actually funny how it came about because I was an IT recruiter, and I was started promoting as I was an IT recruiter. And my Facebook, I didn't want my Facebook to have my real last name.
Sure.
My coworkers see it.
That's
so, and I was working at a club called Crescendo as a host, and my brother at the time was another host that was kind of like my mentor, Nino Boss. Shout out Nino. I just said like, oh, we're brothers. Like I'm going to change it to Boss. And at the time, I thought it was because he was Bosnian. I think I thought he said that's why it was, but I guess it wasn't. I found out years later, but it's just Boss, like I'm Boss.
But you're kind of carrying on the legacy, carrying on that name.
Because he doesn't even have the name anymore.
Oh,
he doesn't even
interesting.
Use it.
Is he still in the industry though?
He is. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
But he just kind of left that in mind. It kind of stuck. I had to use it.
Sure.
I mean, at a certain point, people had to use my name at the door for free entry.
Does it open a lot of conversations?
No, actually at this point, I feel like most people, because of me on social media and stuff, they just know.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I'll get stopped a lot. Just like, you're Eric Boss, right? And I'm just like, oh my God. Yeah. I appreciate it, but it's embarrassing at the end of the day sometimes.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You've been in this nightlife industry since 2011.
Yes.
So 13 years.
Yes.
Going on 14.
Yeah, actually working in it, but I've been going out partying for a lot longer.
At what age did you start going out?
God, I mean, honestly, when I was 16, I mean, we were going out to underage, young kiddie clubs and like banquet parties and stuff like that. So from 16 to 41, I've been. Pretty hardcore.
Okay.
The last 2 years, I haven't. Last 2 years, I've been working my parties, but I don't drink. I don't do cocaine anymore. I used to do that a lot in excess.
Yeah.
Yeah. For 25 years.
You're not shy about sharing that.
No. I mean, honestly, I'm open book, man. I'm really transparent.
Oh, wow.
I feel like number one, a lot of people can learn, from the things that I've gone through, and how I am now, and then also like. I say this all the time, like I'm too old to lie. I'm too old to sugarcoat. I learned maybe a couple of years ago that like you save so much time, energy, effort by being honest.
Yeah.
Right away.
Well, when you begin a chain of lies, it's in the background of your thought, and it's lingering there.
Yeah, and any relationship, friend, business, really, intimate. Like I've learned just to be honest up front, and sometimes it's a good thing, because most people aren't.
Have lies like burned you in the past?
I don't know if it's burned. I can't think of any
or caught up with you.
I can't think of it right now. I'm sure, sure, but I just found that a lot of times people are just afraid to say what they really feel.
Sure,
and then. You could tell because it kind of impacts how they react to you, what the things they say or whatever.
Yeah.
And or you catch them up later, it's like, and if we just communicate, we're just honest from the beginning, it would have saved a lot of issues, problems. It would have prevented a lot of things. Could have saved a relationship,
Yeah.
So that's why now I'm just like, I don't care. Yeah, I used to do a lot of jokes.
So so far I'm in my mid 30s, but like the decades have been getting better. Mm-hmm. Would you still say the same thing about the 40s?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's different, right? And I will say this, I'm really glad that you segued into this, because one thing I will say for my advice for anyone that's in their 20s, that they will not know, but they will know in their 30s and 40s. They cannot know right now, because when you're in your 30s and 40s, you could look back on your life. You could look back on your 20s and be like, from 21 to 23, I was in college. I drank a lot, whatever. From 23 to 25, I stopped drinking. I was dating this one girl for a while, whatever. From 26 to 28, you can't do that while you're in your 20s. When you're in your 40s, you could do that. Your 30s, you could do that. So knowing that now, I can't do anything about it now, but my advice, find out what you love to do. Mm-hmm. And of course, make a living out of it. And at the end of the day, the American dream is being rich, doing what you love to do, right? Mm-hmm. But finding what you love to do and start working on it. Even if it's a little bit here each day or whatever. I get it. People have to have jobs to pay the bills, jobs they don't like. But have an exit strategy, have a plan, and just do that. Because if you don't, your 30s come like that. You're 35, you're like that.
Yeah.
You're 40 like that. And then now what? You don't.
Well, I wonder what series of events have to happen in one's life in order to start considering what they actually want to do.
I think everyone's different. Most of the time it's from trauma, right? It's from a traumatic experience, hitting rock bottom, I never had anything like that. A lot of it's just a consequence of time, I think. Seeing other things, learning other things, everyone's different, their mental capacity and, how they absorb and just awareness of things, what they want, desires. And there's so many things that impact it, your environment, because you could be in a relationship that you don't even want to be in.
Or I guess like at what point, like what needs to happen in order for someone to start exploring their own identity?
I think, wow, that's a good question. I think if we're really breaking it down, when you find yourself not happy, when you find yourself not fulfilled, because that's a time you should honestly, then maybe you should find something that does fulfill you, that does make you happy. Because I think there's a certain point where it's hard to be 100% happy, right? But if you're at a point in your life where you're not happy and and you may have a lot of money, or you may have, a lot of things that other people are happy with, then I think you should search. You should, find out what you love to do. Find out what, because I just feel like most people are not happy at the end of the day, 100% happy, especially because of today's social media and environment.
Yeah.
But I think that would be an indicator, right? I mean, what else would be, unless something bad happened, it would be like, okay, now I have to do this,
Right.
But that's a really good question, the root of it. Because one thing I could definitely know for sure is that hearing conversations like this, hearing other perspectives, like me telling you honestly, hey, I've been through what you've been through. I've gone through my 20s. I've gone through, time goes like that. You think you have time, but this is your advice.
But I wonder if it's one of those just life things where they have to learn it on their own.
Yes, it really is. It really is. But it does help. I think it's logical to believe that hearing this over and over, it's in their subconscious. It's being planted. Whereas if you didn't hear any of these conversations at all, it would definitely be something you had to only learn on your own. But at least with this, hey, Eric, you know what? And I could even attest that, like, from this mental health journey that I've been on, and people just contact me all the time. People come up to me at the club all the time. Eric, you've helped me. You've helped me realize this. You've helped me stop doing this. You've helped me, and that's how I know for sure that you could be impacted by this hearing and seeing, talking to other people.
If it does, it does. That's amazing if it does.
But at the end of the day, you're right. A lot of times you could hear it all day.
I mean,
you could want
the
it.
first start is like seeking, right? So like if they're here listening, then they were looking for it.
Seek and you shall find.
Yeah. And there will be a point where you have to put it into practice.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Execution's key. I mean, and then on top of that, consistency.
Yeah.
So there's so many levels to it. But the first thing is, honestly, I feel like, is just knowing what you want.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. Because if you don't know what you want, you're aimless. You're just going through the motions. You're going through that job, and you don't even realize if you're really happy or if you want anything more, because the days go.
When in your childhood, were you, as many kids, impressionable, or were you guided by your peers or your parents? Like, who were individuals that you were looking up to that were a guiding light for you when you were growing up?
Wow. And so in my childhood, it's really hard to remember back then. It really is. I just think there's,
as far as discovering hobbies
in grade school and junior high and stuff, I was definitely impacted a lot by my peers, right? Like I told you, I grew up with all Italians.
Yeah.
One of them I'm still, that I started being friends with, I think maybe like freshman, sophomore
year. Did you grow up in Chicago?
Addison, Illinois.
Addison.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know a lot of Italians were out there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. At the time, it was like the entire city almost.
Okay.
But it was all the good looking, the people with money. They were all Italian,
Sure.
So that's definitely where a lot of my, just influences came from, for sure.
Okay.
And I'm still best friends with one of them right now.
Okay.
His daughters are my nieces.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
what do you think? Because you don't hear that too often.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think allows? I wonder if it's just like this mutual evolution, like mutual independent evolution, and then you have this mutual respect as you grow old together.
Are you talking about just being friends for that long?
Because you don't hear friends.
Oh yeah.
Well, so friendships being maintained for that.
Yeah, I only have two. Number one, that are true. But I think at the end of the day, what it comes down to is effort, right? Because he has kids. My other best friend has kids. He was in Florida, but as long as you reciprocate, if they contact you, you contact them back. You catch up. It could be a year. that you don't talk to each other. Excuse me. But as long as you put in that effort, you reciprocate, because then the one time you don't, that's when it goes for a couple of years without it, and sometimes that's the last time.
But you don't hold it against each other.
Mm-mm.
Right.
True friends won't.
Yeah.
True, mature friends won't.
Yeah. And I wonder if there's a hard line where like you reach out, they ghost, they cancel. And at what point do you just like, they're not reciprocating?
Yeah. There is that point for sure. And that's just when you have to, at least you tried.
Yeah.
I got an itch in my throat right now.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah.
So how, so I'm guessing it was your peers that led you into the nightlife industry of just and was this something that your parents were aware of, or
it wasn't till
or ignorant to like they knew you were going out, just didn't really know where.
Really funny. This is really funny. So I was the only one that had a room that had a separate entrance from the outside.
Yeah.
So basically, I could come and go when I pleased. And my parents, my stepdad is a white guy, not very strict,
Okay.
And my mom was for a while, but he couldn't control me. That's so funny. That's why where all my independence came from.
Sure.
Because I was always going out. Man, this is tough right now.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to try some kombucha?
Will that work?
It might. Take a look at the flavors and then
let me see.
Go ahead and crack one.
It's a nice little plug right here.
Yeah, they're Remember. So it's short for Real Memories, Better Rituals.
Real Memories, Better Rituals. Oh, that's awesome.
And they're trying to create alternative social beverages.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's really funny because that's one thing that's kind of on my to-do list. I got some.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I got a big to-do list.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really helped.
I hope so.
Yeah.
What do you think of the flavor?
It's really good.
Okay, good.
I actually generally don't like these type of drinks. But
kombucha, yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Like the probiotic drink. I mean, the other ones, like the probiotic sodas, taste like fake sugar.
Yeah.
To me.
So where were we? I forgot.
Well, we were talking about gaining your independence and.
Oh yeah, so so we were going out to clubs all the time.
Like on a weekly basis?
Yeah, I know, every weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is actually some other real honest drug talk. There was a point, where I did ecstasy every weekend for a year straight.
At what age?
It was in high school.
How'd you get a hold of ecstasy?
So in whatever year it was, that's when it really hit the scene. It was these press pills. Now they have these Molly, this Molly and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But it was these press pills, and they were really popular then. And and I remember it as like there was an ABC7 report like, this is your brain on ecstasy. Do you remember that or no? but yeah, no. And it's that, and I really, and of course, it's really funny. I'm actually kind of realizing something about myself right now. When you're taking that and you're partying, you're at these clubs or whatever, it's such a euphoric feeling. It's a feeling that you can't replicate in other ways.
Is it harder to replicate every time? Is there a tolerance to it?
I think everyone has different tolerance levels. I always had a low tolerance. I take a hit of weed now, I'm still just as high as, you know what I mean? So everyone's different, but it definitely, what I felt like is that it led me to like kind of obviously down the path of always loving nightlife. I always loved going to the club, dancing, different type of music, and also the community, the unity of it too.
Yeah,
it unites everyone. It doesn't matter what race.
Did you have like a solid core group of people that you would go with?
Yeah, it was probably about a good 5 to 10 of us, and it was all Italians. And just me. I was the only one non.
What kept it novel for you to do it on a weekly basis? And for decades, long. It's what?
It's my passion. It really is. It's something that I just really, truly enjoy.
Wow.
And then once I started doing it, working in the nightlife industry, then it kind of shifted more into, serving and entertaining.
Yeah.
And I definitely know that's always been, you could pin that back to like insecurity and stuff too. I always wanted to be accepted.
Right.
Because when I was in grade school, I had been bullied for being Asian.
Wow.
By other Italians.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
But what about your circle of Italians?
My circle, we were cool. I was cool with.
But there was
other ones that didn't
Eric's
like me.
cool.
Yeah, there was other ones that didn't like me. Not all the Italians are all on the same side. Yeah. It was, but I definitely had a beef with a couple.
Wow.
And even up until high school, yeah, definitely.
So What if you were getting validation from your parents? I wonder if your life trajectory would have been
definitely,
different.
100%. Because and that's part of the reason I saw this on a podcast. When you are raised with strong family, your goal in life later is a strong family. When you're not, your goal is survival. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I'm such like this independent, hardworking, goal-oriented person right now. It definitely has a part of it. Definitely. But the thing with the beauty of what's funny is that anything in the past now, it really, it means things, but it's the past. Only thing that matters is right now and tomorrow. And right now, the relationship with my mother is fucking amazing.
Wow.
It's never been like, I never communicated with her, really, like never been close. We never hung out, never talked on the phone, probably up until like frequently up until like maybe late 20s, 30s. And then after my father passed is when I'm like, it's the only person that my mom had. She's with
stepfather?
Yeah.
Or father? Okay.
I call him dad because he's been my dad since I was 3 years old.
Okay.
He's my dad. My real dad passed away when I was 16. I didn't have a relationship with him. That's a whole nother story.
Wow.
But once he passed, I'm like, my mom was with him every day for 40 years. She was his in-home nurse because he died of dementia. And so for the last 6 years, she was his nurse.
Dementia for 6 years.
Yeah. I saw it progressively get worse too, And so once that happened, it was kind of like, now I need to take care of my mom. And I'm like, So now I talk to her every day, go to the movies with her every week, So like, it's, I want to make, she did the best job of raising me, making sure I was good,
Yeah.
I want to make sure that she's good for the rest of her life now. That's it.
For sure.
That's one of my purposes right now in life.
So it's very interesting to go from this very independent mindset to wanting to nurture and take care of the people that gave you everything.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like, what were some of the moments that turned that around for you?
Ah, man.
Because it wasn't that dementia, right? It was before that.
No,
when you started.
Well, I would say this. So when I was in Vegas, I moved to Vegas for a year.
Okay.
I did nightlife in Vegas for a year, and it was an amazing year of my life.
Was that your initial experience into working in nightlife?
No. So I think I did. So I guess I'll backtrack a little bit. So when I was an IT recruiter, I was doing very well, and I was just a weekend warrior. On the weekends, I would go party.
Okay.
But Monday through Friday at an 8 a.m. meeting, I was an IT recruiter from 24 to I want to say about 32, and 32, 33. And I was making really good money, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't.
What does that mean, IT recruiter?
So every company, they will have, IT positions, information technology positions,
Yeah.
PC, help desk, network analysts, project managers, what have you. And they usually outsource the hiring and everything to other companies.
Oh.
Like, my company, which when we would source candidates and we would submit candidates and try to get our candidates hired for them, at their place.
Gotcha.
And so I did that for almost 10 years.
How did you land in that?
It's actually really funny. So it was 2004. 2004. I went to DeVry University.
Wow.
Because at the time, people in IT were coming out of there doing really well.
There was an IT era.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then shortly after that IT era, there was an IT recession too,
Yeah.
where they fired everyone.
Oh, wow.
When I
Is that early 2010s, like 2013?
Yeah. When I graduated, it was part of their time where they weren't hiring anymore. So I'm like, all right, what am I going to do now? I saw an IT recruiter position. So it wasn't a job that in IT, it was a job finding people jobs in IT.
Sure.
So I applied to it. And actually I didn't have the experience that they wanted, but they decided to give me a chance, and the rest is history. Like I was there did very well.
Tell me about the gap, the time before DeVry. Why DeVry? And did you take a gap between high school and DeVry?
I remember when I graduated high school, I think I took like 6 months off just to have fun, party, whatever, figure out.
Yeah.
And I went to college at DuPage
Okay.
for a little bit. And I jumped around from telemarketing jobs. That's where I got a lot of my communications and sales background.
What were you kind of selling?
One was Sears Emergency Roadside Service. We were calling people that already had Sears membership cards.
Oh, wow.
Offering them this other service.
Yeah.
And I used to sell ADT home security systems to low-income residential areas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was basically a free system, and I was doing that. It was a lot of phone dialing. I worked for, this is so funny because I haven't thought about this in years, Georgia Peach Care. It was, we called people with Medicaid in Georgia.
What?
Yeah.
That's so random.
Yeah, so random. but yeah, I was doing a lot of phone jobs, and that's why we're kind of, it's just telemarketing.
So just odd jobs to make ends meet.
Yeah.
At what point did you start the journey of self-discovery of like what you might want to do, and then maybe coming back full circle to nightlife as a potential option?
Well, so when I did IT recruiting, it definitely wasn't something I wanted to do, right? It was just a job, right?
Yeah.
So it was when I was still going out during my stint as a recruiter, and my friend, the one I told you about, Joey, he was a manager at these clubs, so I knew everyone from him, and he basically said, you should start probably making money doing this. And I'm like, okay. And so I knew everyone. So anyone I would talk to, approach in the industry at these clubs, they already knew who I was, and they knew that I had a lot of people that I would go out with and stuff like that. They saw the value.
Yeah.
So automatically I'm promoting for all these places. And then that's when I got my first job as an actual host in 2011 is what we were talking about.
How does that work? Do you get if they mention your name at the door, you get a cut?
Yep. Back then, so it was a per head, and you would get paid like either a certain amount of money per head for a guy or
who's
per
keeping
girl.
tabs?
The door guys. They have it.
Really?
Yeah. It's so funny. A lot of people don't understand the behind the scenes of nightlife. But yeah, there's a guy that takes tally at the door. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
And then you get paid out on a weekly, bi-weekly basis? Weekly basis.
At one time, I had like a password where people just could drop my name for free entry at 3 different clubs at one time. And then I was doing like birthday parties and like tables all over the city.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I remember right before I had moved to Vegas, I remember like a typical Friday, Saturday night, I'd have like 4 or 5 birthdays booked at different clubs. And then I'd have to go to like those other clubs I worked at to go pick up checks because I had to pick up money that they owed me. And so I would pop into the Mid Spy Bar. What's the other one? Mid Spy Bar, Sound
Excalibur.
Bar. Yeah. And then going to all these other. Yeah. I actually opened one of the opening managers over there at Prism. Yeah, because we were at Mid before that, and we opened Prism, and
It's a sad day when Mid closed.
Yeah, that was actually my best time in nightlife. It was when I was managing. I had like 35 promoters at the Mid, and then when we opened Prism, I had like 15 at Prism, and my night consisted of.
You needed that many managers?
No, promoters. I managed.
You managed that many promoters.
So then my typical night is like I would pretty much start the night at Mid, and it was great too because I kind of got this this quasi artist relations role where I was hosting basically liaison for all the DJs.
Yeah.
So I was meeting all the DJs. It was really cool.
Was that just the role that you kind of took on?
Yeah. Because I mean, I was managing the promoters. And I was always running around, and so I was always there. So I was always just making sure that's where like a lot of my hospitality started. I was just being as hospitable, and because I was also a host before that. Yeah. So that's just where I just got it from. And then I would jump over to Prism and do the same exact thing there. And sometimes I'll go back and forth. And it was just fun time.
Is going out kind of, it's seasonal, right? Or is it year long?
It's year long.
Is it really?
And actually around this time in fall and winter, like it picks up because in the summer you could be outside. Yeah. Right.
Then you want to go inside. I know you're brave in the cold without a jacket.
Yeah. There's definitely more things to do, in the summer. So this is actually when it starts getting a little bit busier.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
As a promoter, what have you learned is maybe the top 3 things that people find value in to go to a certain place for that evening?
Oh, wow. I would say the music, the the staff. A lot of times people,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, that comes from like an industry perspective,
Staff,
right?
like more than just the bartender, or like what kind of staff are we talking
I think
about?
everyone, the servers, the manager,
Even the doorman?
Yeah, yeah. So a lot, because if you're taken care of someplace, if they treat you like,
Yeah.
you're more likely to go to a place. You have less problems. You get taken care of.
Sure.
It's just a more friendlier environment. So, but that's more from an industry perspective. Like someone like if I was going to go out, that's my mentality.
Okay.
Right. But from just a normal everyday person,
Yeah.
I would definitely say music. Chicago's pretty artist driven.
Yeah.
If they see a big talent, big DJ or someone popular, when I lived in Vegas, that was everywhere. So it wasn't a thing,
Yeah.
Here it's like, if Brody Jenner's over here, we got to go there. It's just like one of those things.
And you got to a point where people trusted your judgment and your taste.
Yeah.
And so like then you could start bringing in people that are undervalued, or people that you feel like are sleeping on this artist, and the people that would follow you wherever you go trust your judgment in that they're gonna have a good time no matter who you bring.
I think if I'm analyzing this from a consumer perspective, it's just the ease of getting in with not paying cover. Is the biggest thing. And then once they're there, because at the end of the day, once you're at a place and you're drinking, you're partying with your friends,
Isn't that where the money's at anyway, the drinks?
Yeah, yeah. But I'm saying is that why people would go to a place that I would promote,
Yeah.
Back then. So what I do now is totally different.
Interesting.
But then as a promoter, I'm just basically pushing flyers. I'm just saying like, drop my name for free entry.
Yeah.
So people are going to utilize that, especially some young kids that don't have money. They want to save that $20 that they would pay at the door and use it on a drink. Whereas now is a lot different. What I do is, I curate, like I told you, I curate the party. I create an experience from top to bottom. So it's a lot different, for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How many years did it take for you to feel ready to curate an entire event?
I think I did one years ago. I did a couple here or there, but it was when I would say, because it didn't start till after COVID. When COVID hit, all the clubs closed, right? So I had to completely go a total different path. I became a personal trainer, a self.
You got your certificates during the pandemic?
Nope, I did not.
You're just on the side, just training people?
Yeah, because what I did is that, I've been working out consistently for about 20 plus years. And, people would always ask me to train them just from seeing my physique, And then once COVID, hit, I'm just like, okay, well, I'll start training people. And I just started doing, training them, showing them what I would do.
Online or in person?
In person.
In person.
Yeah. And I did like, at one point I had like 4 or 5 a day almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, but then once the clubs opened back up, because I was a manager at this place called Electric Hotel before, once it opened back up, they asked me to come back. And I'm like, I'll do a party, my way, how I want to do it. And that's the first party I started was No-Tell Hotel. And that's that I just stopped doing that party. It was for 3 years. I would say it was probably one of the best, if not the best Wednesday night party in Chicago.
Can you describe what it is?
No-Tell Hotel is, it's really funny. It basically, it was every night I had a different, whether it be different DJs, entertainer. Sometimes I would have, I've had all different types of entertainers. One time I had a sword swallower. I had just the most off the wall stuff.
So is it either or is there a sword swallower and a DJ?
Oh, it's all combined.
It's all combined.
Yeah. And I would have a surprise snack that I brought out every night that I give people for free. It was, like I said, an experience. It's something that you don't get anywhere else. Mm-hmm. And I'm running around. I'm giving people bubble guns. It's most interactive.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And I just try to make it look different than every other place. And that's why I talked to you about watching that Modern NBA YouTube video.
Yeah.
It explains a lot.
Wow. Why, what do you think people are seeking when they're coming to an Eric Boss event?
I think it's really just fun, interactive fun, because I do certain things throughout the night that, I have an assistant who walks around. She's handing you a bubble gun. She's handing you candy. She's handing you, just different things all night. I try to make sure I touch every guest.
Oh, wow. How many people are here at the same time?
150 to 200 people walk through that door.
Okay.
So I make sure, but we do a pretty good job of touching every single person in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whether it be I tell, when I tell them to give out candy or mints, they walk around with a flashing light with mints. I say every single person in here, even the staff, because what that does is that when you give something without anything in return, expecting anything in return, you're releasing oxytocin. That person that's receiving it's releasing oxytocin. So there's naturally a different environment and vibrant energy in my parties that you're not going to get anywhere else unless you're doing the same thing, unless you're giving stuff out to people. And I constantly, I've given out pre-rolled joints at my parties. I give out food. It's like, just give.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And what it does is this creates a total different vibe and energy in there.
It does, yeah.
In all my parties, I've probably thrown about 300 in the last 2-3 years. Probably about 300, maybe probably more, because I had 4 a week. The last time I had 4 every week. But out of all my parties, there's maybe been 5-10 fights tops.
Fights?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Tops. Why are people fighting?
Well, I mean, if you put alcohol and drugs in the mix, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But it's a normal thing in a nightlife. I mean, it's a lot of people get into fights. Oh. But what I'm saying is that with my parties is really not.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I see. Did you ever feel like you can take your set of skills to another industry?
100%. I mean, I'm amazing at whatever I do. But this is what I love to do.
Yeah.
I eat, breathe, sleep. I wake up. I don't have to. I love it.
In the sense of like logistics or even like an event planner for any event.
Yeah, I mean, I eventually, because but the mental health journey I'm on, and I really want to get away from the nightlife, like nightclubs. Last year I threw a dry baby party called Dry Baby, where it was just no alcohol, and so just cannabis and like I've dabbled with mushroom therapy and ayahuasca. I love ayahuasca. So eventually I want to get away from the nightlife, like from clubs, but doing bigger events with, maybe no alcohol at all.
Do you think there is a limit to the size of an event if it's starting to involve psychedelics?
Yeah, no, most definitely. I mean, because there's different areas. Like I was working on doing an event in Denver with a friend of mine that I did ayahuasca with, and it's not even legal here, so you have to. There's red tape with a lot of the stuff right now, but it's slowly changing. It's slowly getting better. It's what's great about it.
Do you notice like a lot of people using nightlife as a form of escapism?
Oh, 100%, 100%, and that's why. I could tell you didn't really look at a lot of my stuff, because my message is what I've been telling people is that, I mean, probably the one video that gave me most of my followers is, I tell people, like, if you're not in a good place, nightlife is not the place for you. Do not come to my parties. It actually makes me feel bad. Like there's other things that you can do for your mental, health and your well-being that's going to be. Because going out to the clubs, it's a temporary fix, there's no other temporary fix that feels as good that I could think of. Like when you're out in the club and you're partying and you're drinking with friends, or around beautiful people, listening to great music, it's really easy to forget your problems. But when you go home, those problems are still there, right? So that's why I tell people, like, diet, eating well, exercise, doing what you love. It's those are things that you should work on first, and then enjoy nightlife as recreation, not therapy.
Yeah. How at this point in time, how late are these parties going? Like 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning?
Well, certain clubs are open till 2. Some are open till 4 or 5. Some are after hours that start at 3 a.m. and go till 10 a.m.
Oh, I haven't heard of those.
Yeah.
And you say these are 4 days a week. Is it back to back to back, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
Well, no. I mean, there's places that are open 7 days a week.
Oh.
Yeah. But I did 4 parties a week. I threw 4 parties a week.
That's intense, though.
It's very intense.
How do you?
I did 10 parties in 12 days one time.
How do you keep up with that?
Like I said, this is. I really joke that I'm not human. But I just love what I do, and I'm just a machine.
I guess like I'm dozing off at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Like every night. So like I don't know how.
Everyone's different. And I think if you ask everyone about me, they're like, Eric's insane. Like I'm just the epitome of work ethic and hard work. And like, I just don't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
I'm
ever
obsessed. I'm obsessed with it, but it's a great obsession, you know, cause I'm doing what I love. I'm now making great money doing it, you know, taking care of my mother, you know, like what can you say bad about that? You know, you really can't.
Do you ever notice yourself crashing?
No, I read something about it where you said, I saw one of your videos about crashing, and like, again, everyone's different. So what everyone asks about, you know, crashing, what everyone asks anything, like when they don't understand every single thing, you know, the way that you act, feel, believe, this like the question of crash, it comes from you because you feel yourself crashing, right? Before.
Well, like, it's a pendulum swing. You know, the harder you go, I mean, the swing's gonna
for most people, but that doesn't mean every single person. It doesn't mean every single person. So I mean, I've been doing it for 2 years straight now. It's going to be about 2 years straight.
Doing what 2 years straight?
Nonstop work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm telling you, when I'm nonstop work, that's the only recreation I'd have right now is once a week, with my mom, a movie or whatever we do, the gym, it's still work to me, but every other minute of my life is work right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. You know, I've never been so driven and so passionate about something ever. You know, it's nonstop.
Yeah, and tell me about Aloha Construction.
Yeah, Aloha Construction. Wow, it's so great because I went to the CEO. Shout out Dave Farbeke. I went to high school with him, and it goes to show about how networking, how important it is in your life. You know, every single conversation, text, email, it accumulates to where you're at in your life right now and the opportunities that you get. And I went to high school with him. He was actually a nightlife client. He would come out to the clubs. We lost touch for several years, and he just saw what I did on social media from a nightlife perspective, what I do for my parties. And he contacted me and he's like, I want you to run the marketing for my company. And we met, and I said, you know, we met all my, you know, because for me, I had to also be able to do what I love, you know, because at the end of the day, I mean, what I'm doing for the company now is what I love as well, marketing, promotions, and, you know, social media. And I had to be able to keep my nightlife, my parties going on. Mm-hmm. And he was okay with that. And now it's an amazing thing. And what I love about Aloha too is that I also run a lot of the humanitarian efforts where we're basically doing, you know, I don't know if you've heard of Full Hearts Foundation. So Full Hearts for Kids. So it's basically, we just visited there like last week, but just helping undeveloped foster kids, homeless kids, you know, just doing things for giving back for others. You know, he has a foundation called the Dave Farbeke Foundation, where we're going to be giving to a family that has basically just been displaced and are looking for a new home. And what I love about that is this giving back, because a lot of these companies have they're making so much money and they're not giving back any of it, you know? And the fact that Aloha has a focus on doing that, it's awesome, because that's what I really wanted to do with my nightlife.
Yeah.
You know, I had a charity called Donate and Dance that I did one event for, but it's just so hard with everything that goes into the event itself, to also combine it with a charity, something every single time. Like, I also plan at the end of this month to be giving back for Breast Cancer Awareness Month for one of my parties. So that's something I could just do on the side a little bit, you know, but eventually I want to get into doing more.
Maybe you could, plan events for charities.
I definitely want to see, I want to be able to still do my parties.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But also,
so the people that come to your parties are charitable?
Yeah.
Okay, then you're doing it, right?
Yeah. No, most definitely. But I definitely, and it's like I told you about my plan down the road. Like, you know I'm going to be doing this for this amount of time. I kind of set my own deadline with the parties, and then I'm going to have a different, you know, roadmap.
Mm-hmm. Is there a part of your life that do you feel like you have had to sacrifice because of how hard you work?
No, because and it's funny because a lot of people that don't have just started following me over the last 2 years, all they see is this nonstop working person, right? I don't have any fun or anything like that. Well, if you go to my parties, you see how much fun I have at my parties. But no, because I've done everything, from 16 to 41. I've loved, I've traveled, and now it's time to do it when I'm financially free. And I'm on that road to financially free while doing what I love. Mm-hmm. And my mom, she needs to be 100% good, Yeah. So I could put all that going to whatever, I guess. I love what I do. So I don't have a need for anything else. I've been in so many relationships. I'm like, I don't even want to be in a relationship right now. I don't want kids right now. I don't want, It's like, no, I know what I want right now, and I'm doing it.
It's interesting. Do you feel like you find relationships when you least look for them?
No, because I have intention. Everything I do is with intention. My intention right now is to my goals, and it's to not. I could start a relationship with a ton of girls right now if I wanted to. I don't want to. Mm-hmm. I'm not just going to slip and fall and find a girl and be like, oh, do you want to go out tonight? No, I don't want to go out because I'm doing this right now. I've been, when I was from 16 to 33, I jumped in and out of relationships. Mm-hmm. I was in a 5.5, 3.5, 2.5, 2 years. I lived with 3 different girls for about a year. I used to be the type that I would rather be in a bad relationship than be alone. Mm-hmm. Not anymore.
Did you have one where you saw potential for like life partner?
Yeah. But I've always loved working. In every relationship, that was the thing.
You've had to sacrifice the relationship?
Yeah, because I loved my work more.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty honest.
The last relationship I was in, and the last relationship I was in, we were great. Like, we didn't even leave on bad terms, really.
She get it. Like, she gets it.
Yeah, and she was also independent, too, where, like, okay, well, then I'm going to go this way. You go that way, I go this way. And it was actually a great thing, too, because it wasn't dealing with the immaturity of, like, people.
But isn't that interesting, like, to find someone who respects the hustle and there's this mutual respect of, like, what if they hustle just as hard as you did?
Yeah, well, that was something that I didn't have in there, and I don't need that. I don't have any expectations, right? Mm-hmm. I don't need you to be a certain way, but I just know that if I'm spending all my time on my work, I'm getting a lot more done if I'm not spending all my time. If I'm spending some of the time on work and some of the time on a girl, I know I'm going to get where I want to go faster here.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, it's hard because number one, they can't be by themselves, or they're scared about the future. They're like, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to be lonely. I'm going to be with someone. Like, but I'm in love with myself. I love being alone. I love it's like, I don't need anyone.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So are you living your rich life right now?
Yeah. Oh my God. I've been for the last 2 years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I could die tomorrow and I'm fine, but I got a lot of goals I want to hit.
Okay. So if we're, and did 2024 fly by for you as well?
Yeah.
So as we try to finish out 2024 on a strong note, like, what are some things that you're putting in place to set 2025 up for success?
Well, right now it's definitely just putting all my eggs in the Aloha basket.
Okay.
All my eggs in the Aloha basket. It's really great. I just had my...
Do they do commercial or residential?
Commercial and residential.
Oh, and both.
Yeah,
okay.
So it's really nice. It gives flexibility too. It got all loud all of a sudden.
It's the actual construction, or is it design?
So there's actually a couple subsidiaries. So Aloha Construction handles doors, windows, roofing, siding, gutters, and then Aloha Restoration, it's water mitigation, mold removal, and home remodeling.
Gotcha.
So we cover most ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And it's really nice. Like, I just basically got a pretty big account from a woman that I met in nightlife. So this goes back to the networking thing. Like, everything. Like, I wish my advice to people too is that, like, talk to as many people as possible. Don't burn bridges.
Yeah.
And just network. Because work hard and be kind, because it's going to come back to you at one point.
With the importance of relationships and striving to make meaningful connections at every event, especially if there are 150, 200 people there. Yeah. How do you manage and balance being a good host while trying to make touching, meaningful moments with every guest?
Yeah, I've actually been asked on a podcast about this too, because if a lot of my parties, there's a set structure to it where I have to do certain things at certain times. And if I'm not doing it, like, if I forget to order food, the food's not happening. If I forget, there's a point for my house and sushi party where we put a girl on a sushi table, we put sushi on her, we bring her out, we light the whole place with sparklers. If I'm not on point for every single part of that, every aspect of that, it doesn't go down, it doesn't happen. And then the experience is not there. So I have to do that. But I also have to be hospitable and respectful to the people that are at the party, because every single person that came through that door is supporting me. So what I try to do is I know on social media, because I tell people during the party, I'm working. I can't have a conversation. Hit me up outside of it. And a lot of times people do. And we will have banter outside of it. I try to thank people on social media as much as possible. And I try to give back at my parties as much as possible too. Like if I see people, whether it's an alcoholic or non-alcoholic drink, I'm like, what can I get you? I'm always trying to, pay it, give it back. Because during the party, I literally can't talk.
Yeah. So how do you deal with individuals that kind of just come off as, I don't know if fake is the right word, but like just be there,
there's a lot
just
of
like,
it. No,
hey, I know the boss.
Yeah, no, trust me. I mean, it's part of the game. It's like high school. It's like, trust me, I know for a fact that a lot of people that I shake hands with and say hi, they're
like this credibility by association.
Yeah. They may not even like me, or they're saying something about me as soon as, but that's part of the industry. And if you could separate that, it's fine. It's part of the game. I mean, they're there for, we're at the end of the day, nightlife industry, you're kind of using each other, right? Coming to my party for a good time. You come in there, it's supporting my income, but but what I like to do is always just have genuine conversation. And I think at my parties, what's different about my parties and a lot of other places is that a lot of people there are there for good vibes, right? And it is a loving energy, where other places are like more like a be seen type thing, kind of like a cool, it's not, my party's not like that at all. My parties are more fun. They're actually the opposite.
Like just bottle service type thing. It's more than that.
It's literally just for having fun and just just kind of not caring and just dancing.
So are you trying to equalize the fun, or are there tiers to the different experiences that people can have?
There are tiers. I mean, of course, with bottle service, this is, that's the higher level, right? But I just try to, I honestly try to give everyone the same exact experience.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I could, I would have something interactive for every single person there. Some people don't want that, right? But generally, it's you got to come to one of my parties and just feel it and see it. It's really funny, because at one point you'll have I have a megaphone, a siren going off. I got people with bubble guns. I got people with LED fans, and it's just it's a literal shit show. It's a crazy, but it's a cool thing, because I know everyone in there right then and there, everyone's having an amazing time. They're not like, oh fuck, I got to go to work. They're not like, oh man, I hate that girlfriend's pissing me off. No, they're all in the moment. They're all having an amazing time, and they're screaming and they're smiling. So if I could do that and I do that every week for the last couple of years, wow. It's meaningful, and I get messages about it all the time. Oh, wow. All the time.
How do you, are you able to enjoy yourself when you're at someone else's party? Or do you tend to subconsciously wear the host hat sometimes?
I cannot. It's hard for me, because I'm sitting there just like, this is not fun. And if I love the music, that's a different story. I'm having fun. I'm dancing stuff. But if I don't love the music, I'm judging everything.
Sure.
I'm judging the service. I'm judging the sound, the lighting. And for me, trust me, I know I'm not perfect, right? But a big thing for me is the interactive component. I feel like one, we're not giving back to consumers a lot. A lot of the reason why I started this mental health journey is because I really felt at the end of the day, I'm creating amazing experiences for people, but I'm also hurting people at the same time with the environment, the toxic environment, the drugs, the drinking. And I know it's not my fault, right? But if I didn't do what I did, if I didn't do the party, they wouldn't be at my party, you know?
Isn't that juxtaposition of like, imagine having like telling your door person to confiscate any illicit drugs.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even that. I just think it's because drugs aren't the problem. Like, you know, I love drugs. I smoke weed every day. You know what I mean? But it's just a mentality thing, you know, because you could do drugs and be happy.
And you also don't want to be that person that like, no, you can't come in.
Yeah. You know, and it's really not my place to judge, you know, whether or not, but that's why I tell people, like, if you're not in a good place, do not come to my party. And I feel bad,
yeah.
You know? And I think the message for me now is, because I think at the end of the day, a lot of people, most people, the older you get, you realize most people do some type of drug, whether it's whether it's alcohol, whether it's gambling, whether it's, you know, whatever the case may be.
Coffee. Yeah.
So my advice is that I of course, stopping it completely is optimal, but people aren't going to stop doing things completely. But if you have balance outside of that, all the other things that are really important, like I said, the exercise. If you exercise, you're going to live longer. You're going to feel better. You're going to be happier. If you eat well, you're going to live longer. You're going to feel better. You're going to be happier. You know, people don't understand that because they're just so into what they normally do. And it, you know, and everyone feels the way that they feel. And because of years of pattern activity, pattern eating, you know, but if they were to exercise for years and eat well for years, they would notice a difference. And I wish I could I told someone that before. I'm like, I wish I could make people feel how it feels to be consistently eating well and working out for, you know, not even working out, just exercising. Because most people don't even exercise for a couple of years compared to how you feel right now, not exercising, not eating well. Yeah. It's a world of difference. It's a mentality, energy, everything.
So what does that mean? Are you continuing to like personally train people, or
no.
Is that another like project that you're going to start?
I already know that if I'm not doing events when I'm 75, 80 years old, I'm going to be a fucking, sorry about to swear, a fitness influencer when I'm 80. Yeah, 100%. Because when I'm 80, I'm going to look 60.
Yeah, that's truth. But you can, so you can overlap and still continue to inspire through mental health, but like overlap it with the nightlife industry?
Yeah, I mean, I have been doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then honestly, it's great because so many people are, like you're saying, escapism, right? But when they have someone like myself basically saying, like, you know, like, you shouldn't be doing this, right? I've had people change. You know, people are going out less, or, you know, and I'd rather have that than me putting someone, you know, giving more problems to someone. At the end of the day, I know it's not my fault. It's their choice, but I still feel bad. And I want to warn people, and I want to tell people that, like, if you're going to do it, make sure you're happy first. And I get it. Some people, they could do it, you know, as therapy, and they can control it. But there's no other industry like nightlife that it's not easily controllable. You know, it's like if God, what would be another comparative thing that you do for therapy?
But but therapy's fleeting.
Yeah.
So is the nightlife.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Is it really digging at the root cause of what you're?
No. Yeah. No.
Right. Like, I mean, but going along the same vein of fleeting, if you can work at the root cause of your pain, that can go away over time and diminish.
Yeah, most definitely. I think, wow. And that's why with ayahuasca, have you ever done any psychedelics?
No.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I did it because, one of my sister, my best friends, she had, an issue with her father passing away. It was something that was really, you know, traumatic for her. And, she did ayahuasca, and it helped her tremendously. And then I don't have anything traumatic to happen to me that I feel like, anything. And so I wanted to level up professionally when I did it. I said, like, if we went with, so when you go to do it, what's different about ayahuasca than like other drugs, this is a medicine I would call it, is that you have intention. Like, I'm doing this to get better at this, or to, you know, and we wrote it down, we talked about it, and then we took it. And then, and since then, it's been a year now since I've done it. This year I've skyrocketed. Like, it's definitely a testament to my work. You know, I work nonstop, but I'd hate to really say that didn't have anything to do with it, because I really concreted my intention even more with that medicine.
So explain, like, is it a realization? Is it like, what makes it concrete?
It's because, wow, I wish I could, I'm going to butcher the science behind this, but it has to do with your neural pathways. Mm-hmm. And things that I already knew before, you know, think of affirmations, right? Do I do affirmations?
Not consistently.
Okay. But have you ever?
Yeah.
I think this in general, talking to yourself, right? When you talk to yourself and you say, like, I'm going to do this, or I'm strong, or I'm brave, or I'm not going to, when you're under the influence of the medicine, it makes it more impactful. It's a deeper connection. It's a deeper feeling. And you feel it.
Were there any visuals during
with ayahuasca? There's a little bit of visuals. It's kind of like on mushrooms, where it just kind of looks like it's things are morphed. It's breathing, you know, kind of just like whatever. It's different than acid. Acid's a lot different. Acid's like, you actually, for me at least, you see stuff that's not there, you know. And acid, actually, that's one of my. I had an acid trip by myself. That was probably one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. Yeah.
When you say beautiful,
yeah,
oftentimes other people also mean interconnectedness.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was, long story short, I mean, it's an amazing story, but long story short, when I broke up with my last girlfriend, it was one of the times I broke up with her, because I got back with her again after that. I'm pretty sure. But I used to live in Vegas, so I'm just like, I'm going to go on a Vegas trip by myself. Went out to Vegas. This is during COVID and everything was closed in Chicago, but in Vegas it was still going on. They just had social distancing. So I met up with some friends out there, and I was supposed to do it in the mountains with this girlfriend of mine, and she ended up bailing last minute. And I'm like, I'm going to do it by myself. And nowadays, anything that scares me, anything that's mentally challenging, I know that I'm going to get better. On the other side of it is growth. Mm-hmm. So I just do it. I do it now. I don't, no fear, no doubt, no excuses is one of the things I say to myself. And I did it, took it, drove out there. And there was a point where I remember being in the mirror for a long time, talking to myself about how, like, you're in love with yourself. Mm. You don't need anyone else, you know, like you know what you want, you know what your purpose. And like I said, it was one of the most beautiful experiences, because it was already things that I felt, I knew. But when you're under the influence of a powerful, you know, drug like acid or, you know, ayahuasca, it's a deeper connection. It's a deeper feeling for sure. More intense, and you know, because you can't replicate that.
Are there any drugs or medicines that you regret taking?
No, I've never did anything that was like, I feel like there's like sketchy drugs and there's non-sketchy drugs. Yeah. And I feel like, so like the really hardcore ones like heroin, crystal meth, sure. PCP, like I've never done any of that stuff.
Oh, okay.
I've done the stuff that I feel like are more culturally acceptable.
More party drugs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So no regrets though.
No. Oh my God. I've had the most amazing experiences with them.
If someone was starting to experiment with that, and when I say experiments, some people don't even think twice about taking this stuff from strangers.
Yeah.
So is there any advice to not be as naive, or the willingness to just have a good time?
It's a different time. I would say I would definitely never take it from someone I don't know. Okay. You know what I mean? 100%. And the thing is that, God, and it's so crazy is that how prevalent it is in nightlife.
Okay.
It's so prevalent. Like everyone's doing cocaine. Everyone. And I used to be one of them. Just
out in the open?
I mean, sometimes, yeah, but it's just as prevalent as vapes and cigarettes. Like it's that common. And I feel like now that because I just mostly smoke weed, it's hard for me to really, I hate trying to kind of advise people, because I used to be like one of, you know, doing it all the time.
But if anything, though, it's better coming from you.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's definitely better. But I
without any judgment, right?
Yeah,
but like,
no judgment at all.
If someone was beginning to be curious about it, how can they make an informed decision?
Yeah, I would say the only way. I mean, you can now test things. You can test it now. So if you really want to be safe, you test it.
Everything? I know there's like fentanyl test strips, but like everything, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But how many people are going to do that?
I know.
You know what I mean?
Right on the spot.
Well, what's really nice is that they have at a lot of parties they do have like test like festivals. They'll have like test booths, you know, for certain things. But I just think in general and that's the worst thing I think was with cocaine, that now with what wasn't prevalent that is now is this fentanyl. And
why do dealers do that?
I don't know. I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense at all. But you know, over the last, like, I guess, like maybe like 5 years or so, maybe even more now, that you've heard of people, I know of people that have died instantly, right, from just a little bit of it.
Yeah.
And it's insane because of how much it's
I wonder, do you think that was the first time that they had cocaine that was cut with fentanyl? Or they've had it before and it, like, there was something about it, the high that you got from the fentanyl that made you came back?
I don't know. I wish I knew, because it's crazy, because from a dealer perspective, you know, it's just like, why would you do that, right?
Or at least give some Narcan.
Yeah, I don't know.
We just went over that in the EMT class.
Oh, really?
Narcan, opioid overdoses.
Okay.
I wonder if you've ever had to call for an ambulance at the club.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened a couple times. I mean, it's
not just for, you know, overdoses, but it could just be maybe someone being roofied or just a fall, a trauma.
No,
that's
that's definitely happened at parties before, for sure. Thank God it's not a normal thing, you know, but it's definitely, I mean, wow. Now that I think about it, with all the drinking and drugs that go on, it's surprisingly that doesn't happen more. It really is. But I just think, thankfully, most people know their limits for the most part. And every party's different, right? You have parties at different type of music and different type of environment that is definitely heavier on the drug use and heavier, you know, and then you have other parties that are heavier on the drinking. You know, like your frat, you know, like there's the college, the dive bars type stuff, you know. So there's definitely different dynamics everywhere. But I just think generally it's with the amount. It's an arbitrary number, but I'd say you know, more than half of people are doing drugs.
Sure.
You know, so
it's kind of inevitable.
Yeah,
and something's going to happen.
Yeah, but and the crazy thing is that it doesn't happen as much. You know, that's actually a really good thing.
Oh, God. What have you noticed about the evolution of nightlife?
The evolution of nightlife, wow.
It could be like the age demographic that goes out. It could be the music that you listen to, the drinks that people are consuming, or whatever, you know, things that people are consuming. What have you noticed amongst the you know, dozen years that you've been
doing? I really think about that. I think for me, it's so crazy because now my last 2-3 years have been solely focused on what I do. Like people ask me like, what's going on, you know, on a Saturday, Sunday night. I don't even know, because I focus only on me. Mm-hmm. And so I just think for me, again, it's really hard to gauge that, because I focus on the experience now.
Yeah.
And what I love about what I do now too is I've cultivated this community where now most of the people that go to my parties, they are there for the DJ.
Okay.
And what I do is, and no one else does, is that kids that have never DJed in a club before, or maybe have only DJed a couple places, I give them all a shot at my parties. And I say, you could DJ at my parties. I just need you to bring me people, because people don't come to my parties for me anymore. I have a small
They
amount.
come for them.
They come for, and most of the people there are for the DJs.
Oh.
And so I'm very clear about what I have, this whole template that I send to every single DJ.
Oh.
I do like my booking process.
Sure.
Where I tell them, like, you know, like, I need this, and this is what you're going to get in return, because all these kids, they wouldn't be able to DJ at a big party at a club like this, you know. And it's so funny because a lot of times I'll get hate from other DJs, you know, but every DJ started someplace. You started someplace. And someone
You're getting hate for giving people a shot?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Well, because at the end of the day, the music quality is not perfect.
Okay.
And I get that, right? But your music quality wasn't perfect at one time too, you know?
Sure,
so
sure.
I tell these kids, I tell them, like, I'll let you, you know, and I try to help them. Like, when they mess up on the decks, I'm like, do you know what you did wrong? Like, you know, make sure you don't do that again.
Yeah.
And like, so you learn and grow from it. Like, I don't sugarcoat. Remember I told you I'm honest. Like,
yeah.
You don't grow from, you know, sugarcoating and lying to people. You grow from being blunt and being honest, you know? And so then I tell them, you could develop your skills at my party, but you just have to bring this amount of people. You have to bring this. And then what happens is that when each DJ does their job, that the party just grows and it becomes this beautiful masterpiece. But when they don't, then a lot of times my parties, sometimes I'd say most of the time my parties are pretty busy for the most part. And because what I'm doing is different than the general public. Other clubs. The other clubs are relying on the general public.
Okay.
Whereas mine, I'm relying on the friends and supporters of the DJs.
Are you looking for the DJs to have a minimum number of event experience?
No.
Or shows they've played?
No, I really don't. I say I don't.
Because what if they can't deliver on what you're asking for?
So what I do is I'll look at their Instagram. You know what I mean? I'll do some vetting from that perspective. But at the end of the day, if they have played at some places before, right? If they have some stuff on their SoundCloud, I'll give them a shot. And what's the worst that's going to happen? There's going to be some bad sound at my party for a couple of minutes. That couple of minutes, you know what I mean? I could recover from.
So you have multiple DJs during the night.
I stack them. Because when you stack them, you get more people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's the formula, and now I see everyone doing it. It's really funny, and it's a beautiful cycle, because what happens is that these kids, other clubs are always looking for new DJs, right? And what happens is that these kids start playing at my parties. Now I got all these other clubs looking at my parties, looking for new DJs. They see the DJs that are on my parties,
sure.
And then what happens is that once the DJs get well enough, they bring in enough people. Now other clubs pick them off. And they go out, they leave the nest, and the cycle continues. And I keep on getting new DJs.
Do you hear back from those DJs?
Oh, all the time. There's one that calls me dad now. I swear, like I'm literally like a dad to a lot of them.
When you say kids, what age are we talking?
20s, early 20s.
20s.
Yeah, you're a kid till you're 25, 26 years old.
And it's kind of like a crash course in being a professional.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. I tell them in my booking process, like, you're not going to get this anywhere else. Like the experience that I have, you know, the process I'm going to put you through. Like I'm not an easy guy to work for.
So there are hoops that they have to jump through.
Yeah, you have to do certain things, and if you don't, I'm going to tell you you're not doing it. And if you want to stay in this program, this process, this system, you got to do it. And if you do it, magic happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it hundreds of times. I know what works, you know, but if you don't do it, and I get it. Some people, it's not their full-time gig. It's not they're not as passionate. They don't have the work ethic.
Yeah.
But those aren't the people for my parties. I can't, you know, I just can't. If I want them to be successful, that's what sucks about where I've come now to with my parties. I've reached a level of, you know, kind of success where I have to maintain that success. And it's
you
constant,
have a low tolerance for BS.
Yeah, and it's a constant grind. But like I said, it's a stress that I love. You know.
Do you guys do residencies?
I have a couple DJs that are. I mean, I kind of, what I usually do is that I pretty much rotate the same ones for a while, until they start not bringing in people.
Okay.
And once they, you know, and if they stop, you know, like I'll have a conversation with them. And sometimes it's, you know, it's so funny. It's like, I wish I could communicate with every single person, but it's just the volume I do. It's so hard, you know. So I always tell people, like, contact me, I'll reciprocate. But what do you mean volume?
Oh, with the number of DJs that you work with, it's hard to keep up with.
Oh my God! When I was doing 4 parties a week,
I see.
When I was doing 4 parties a week, I was dealing with 20 to 25 DJs a week.
I see.
20 to 20, and I had the same templates, the same things, the same process for each party.
Where's your assistant?
I have 2 assistants at the party, but the thing is that
they don't, not with like logistics or admin or anything
because
like that?
Honestly, that stuff, it's all up here. There's no way I could have someone do what I do.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think about that though? Like, how can you offload the how so you can focus on the what?
I do. And the thing is that a lot of it's so transactional where, like, if a DJ, let's say I have a conversation with a DJ about, you know, an upcoming booking or, you know, doing my party, the thought process, it has to be from me. It can't be someone else answering for me.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only problem. And the thing is that I have to.
How long have your assistants been with you?
So my assistants, these are just, it's shout out Jazz and Kaya. They're amazing girls. They actually, so one of my parties is called Foxes Wild.
Okay.
And they are the foxes. It's kind of like my spin on Coyote Ugly.
Okay.
What's funny is I just came across a post 2 years ago when I started the party. I was going to do Coyote Ugly. And then I got contacted by some people like, you're going to get sued. Like, the person with trademarks of Coyote Ugly is sued for millions of dollars. Like, you need to change that. I'm like, so I changed it. Foxes Wild became the thing. And now when I first started doing No Tell Hotel, I was doing the bubble guns and I was giving out the, I was doing basically the jester. I was honestly just entertaining everyone, going around with the megaphone, greeting people, talking shit to people. But then once I added on them, now it freed me up to do, different things. And now the parties have just gone, I don't even know what else I could do for the parties because I already do so much. Whether it's the CO2 gun, whether it's the lights, whether it's, giving out different things, whether it's having different performers. There's only so much you can do, So what I try to do is I now try to just be more interactive with people. Really just giving them more of an experience where talking more, definitely, just because a lot of the people that come to my parties, I'm friends with them on social media, so we could talk about certain things. And it's really nice too, because I know for a lot of these people, they come to my parties every week. Some of them come to my party every week for a year, so, but at the end of the day, we really don't know each other, right?
So this is your opportunity.
Yeah. So then, and even then, it's not enough, because you don't really get to know someone unless you have conversation outside of, and real conversation.
There's, to me, I don't know if you relate to this, but to me, it's like I was always a loner in high school. Mm-hmm. I never had a set group of friends, and it wasn't until I created something of subjective value where it started attracting people. Do you feel like that at all? Like you're a magnet now, and like it's made life a lot easier.
100%.
When people see you're providing a level of value.
Yeah, and actually, I think Jim Carrey said this, and it really stuck with me because now, because of my level of the followers I have and my stature in the industry, now everyone presents their best selves to me. Like when people come up to me. They could, like I said, I remember like people that maybe talking shit behind my back, they still come up to me and they're nice to me. They're like, good, how's it going? Good to see you, Even though it's fake, it still feels good. You know what I mean? And I don't care. Because at the end of the day, I don't care about anyone. I care about, I know how I feel about myself.
Yeah.
So how a person really feels about me, that's your problem.
Right.
And
like,
so,
thank you for being here.
Yeah. And so, and I feel like definitely what's nice about having value, like you'd said, is that people are drawn to you, and they want to talk to you, they want to pick your brain. Like I have people that want to work with me all the time. It's hard. I actually had to develop a template to send to people to thank them very nicely for their time, and on offering me an opportunity, but this is why I can't, and I send it to them because it's just I get people wanting to collaborate with me every day.
What did they like? They want to make their own events, or like what do they want?
Whether it's a liquor sponsor, whether it's a weed vendor, whether it's a girl that's a go-go dancer, whatever. Someone just wants to just go out to lunch and just network. You know what I mean? Whatever the case may be. But I don't want to make time for that. I know what I need to do, and I do it. And the more I do it, the more I progress. It's like if I need to take in some other things, I will. But I'm laser focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think ever you'd want to own a physical space?
No. So I was a partner in a place called Mansion on Rush.
Okay.
And it was a quasi partner. It was really, it's funny, but and just a lot of the back end stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. People that do it and do it very successfully, I do look up to them. But I just feel like what I do right now, I love so much. It's just a whole nother thing I wouldn't want to even
You're doing everything you wanted to do.
Yeah, 100%, And now, like I said, it's just a matter of, even after I stopped doing the nightlife parties, doing the events, like I said, an ayahuasca retreat, it would be great,
Do you think you'd want to go somewhere like Mexico, or you want to keep it in Chicago?
So the girl I told you about, I did it in Florida, but she's got a place in Denver, and so where it's legal there. And she even said we could make it a whole weekend and do kind of like a skiing and all this stuff and workshops, whether it be breath and meditation, stuff like that. So that's stuff I definitely going to move into later. But right now I'm just, like I said, I know my plan or where I'm going, my map.
If someone is going through trying to help a loved one with dementia.
Yeah.
How would you help them
Sweating.
deal?
I think what it all really comes down to, like I said, is that, or I said this before many times, it all comes down to the things you say to yourself and your perspectives. I mean, that's how you deal, right? Because no matter what, at the end of the day, if whatever you're troubled with, like if you're going to have to understand is that the person's not going to be the same, they're dying, they're slowly declining.
Yeah.
You have to tell yourself that this is life, and to make the most of it right now. It's not going to get any better, right? So accept and adapt.
Are there some tangible examples of making the most of it?
I would say is that spending more time, right?
Yeah.
Instead of going to whatever, instead of watching that TV show, call them on the phone. Instead of going to that concert, go hang out with them, And a lot of times that's the biggest regret. That's the biggest regret of people that die, is that they didn't do more, spend more time with their family, spend more, just do more of the things that they love to do.
Throughout the 6 years, you said it in another show, it's just like that your dad remembered you, but did he remember you for the extent of the 6 years?
Yes, he always did, actually. Yeah, he always did. And oh man, that's one of the reasons why I just, he was just amazing. Like he always cheerful, always like this, always the same. It's just crazy because it really, I think, shaped me to be who I am, just always be in a good mood. Because he was always in a good mood. The only time he wasn't in a good mood is when I would push him off, is when I was doing something bad when I was a young kid. But besides that, he was always in a great mood. It was just like, it was almost kind of like, to me, it was kind of like a duncy thing, like where it was kind of like, he was this, I don't know, it was a goofy thing, but he was great, so that's why, and man, it was really crazy because, I think that's the only person that I've seen die. Like I literally was there for the very last breath. So it was definitely. Were you fortunate enough to do it at home, or were they in an assisted living facility? He was at a hospice care.
Hospice.
Yeah.
But 6 years though, like where was he?
For the whole time before, what's really crazy is that my mom even knew too, because your
mom's a nurse.
Yeah. She was home nursing.
Okay.
Yeah. So they were at his house. He was home ridden for probably like 5-6 years.
Do you remember the moment he found out, or like you guys found out that he was diagnosed with dementia?
I don't remember the exact time. I remember it happened when I was in Vegas, because I only stayed in Vegas for a year. I came back home because I'm like, I'm indebted to my parents. I'm like, I have to, be there for my parents. And sure enough, when I got back, something happened with my mom, and like, I was glad I was home at the time, but yeah, like, it was really crazy. It was literally within like maybe a week or two, I was home from Vegas, and I got a call from the hospital she was working at, and they're like, do you know where your mom's at? I'm like, no.
The hospital's calling?
Yeah, like where she works. I'm like, no. Like, okay, because she's worked here for 20 plus years and she's never not coming to work, and like, and I'm like, okay, well, I got worried right away. So they sent a wellness check to the house, like a cop.
Oh, nice.
And I guess, and my dad answered, but my dad has dementia. And they asked, like, he's like, oh, she's sleeping, whatever. I guess they came inside the house. They found her face first in the kitchen.
She fell?
I guess she had some type of something with her insulin levels dropped and she had to go to the hospital. So the point of the story is I think thank heavens I was in Chicago at the time, because I went right away, stayed with her for a couple of days, because I would have been in Vegas if I didn't come back for my dad. But so when I came back for him, that's when I started seeing them a lot more, just hanging out, like the stuff that like I didn't do that at all, when I was growing up. And so it was really nice to do that. And right now, just to do that with my mom now, it's fun. It's amazing. I suggest anyone to do that.
Spend more time with your parents.
Yeah, 100%.
Despite their current relationship, it's tough. It's like sometimes it can feel one-sided.
Yeah.
And you might have this feeling of like, I don't know if I can have the relationship I want with my parents.
Yeah, I'm in a beautiful place myself because, like, I don't, like I said, all I'm doing is working right now. I'm just set on my goals.
Yeah.
So I could spend that time with her. It's like if I had a girlfriend, it'd be a different story, right? If I had kids, it'd be a different story. So that's why, I always try to tell people that take with my advice with a grain of salt. Understand the perspective that it's the viewpoint that it's coming from. My perspective is a perspective of a single guy with no kids, with no want of being in a relationship right now, of being with someone. You know what I mean? So my thought process, my mentality, it's all going to be different than yours, especially if you're someone that, wants to be in a relationship, or wants to have kids or has them right now, so it's going to be a lot different.
Yeah.
But I always just tell people at the end of the day, no matter what, it all comes down, like I said, to the things you say to yourself and your perspectives, as far as just being happy in life and enjoying your life.
Yeah. How would you define desire?
Desire?
And the things that one must do in order to accomplish said desire.
So define desire. I think for me, something like finding something that really sets you, it really, really ignites you, right? Like, for me, this promotions and marketing and serving others, and I get a genuine joy out of making other people happy. I really do. And giving, like, I can't even tell you, like, I've been starting to like toy with the idea of like taking videos of this, but I hate that, like, some people are just like, you shouldn't be showing, giving money to the homeless or stuff like that. Cause I've been doing that often. Like, I'll just like at 7-Eleven, if I just buy something, I'll give like the cashier like $20-$30. To me, like that $20-$30 is nothing, right? To that person, they light up like a Christmas tree. It's like, I made that person's day. Like, I feel like that's the feeling I get from doing those things. The feeling I get from my parties and stuff like that. That's desire. It's it's something that sets me up. It's different than anything else I do. And so I know, that's for me, that's desire for me. And then what was the second part of the question? Asking what things?
The things that one has to do in order to accomplish said desire.
It's intention, and like I said, it all comes down to the things we say to ourselves, in our perspectives, and accountability, because you could say something to yourself so many times, but are you following through?
Well, that's gonna cause feelings of frustration and upset if you are being honest with yourself and you're not doing the things that you have to be doing in order to accomplish said desire.
Yeah.
And when you are upset, is it painful enough to where you will make meaningful change?
Hopefully. But I think a lot of times that pain is not enough, where it's just kind of like you're just going to go through the hamster wheel, right? Unless it's something that's, like we talked about before, hitting rock bottom,
And is rock bottom really rock bottom?
No.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. It's definitely not. There was this one saying.
The world's over.
Yeah. There was this one saying about if you took all of everyone's problems and threw them in a pile, like you would take yours back in a second, Seriously, because like when you think that something's so bad or your life's so terrible, and at the end of the day, you can't, what's that saying? Like you can't compare pain, right? Or like, it's just like, it doesn't matter if someone's worse off than you. That doesn't matter. What matters is, what matters is how you deal with it, And for me, I've reached this level of mental strength that is, I feel like it's next level, that no matter what happens to me, I talk to myself, I tell myself the right things to get past it.
So it's not that you're unwavering. You persevere. I
have semi breakdowns almost all the time, but I also know how to fight them, and I get out of it within minutes, if that. If I didn't fight it, that's why one of the things I tell people, like, you have to combat your negative thoughts. Everyone has those initial negative thoughts, It's a consequence of, you know, a lot of it's from upbringing, you know, from your child. And so I wish the automatic thought was a positive one, you know, but it's usually a negative one.
Before you fight the negative thought, do you ask why it's there?
No, because for me, I've just done it. I'm very analytical with my feelings, my behavior, like everything, my emotions. So I know now that the thought that I get, it's automatic, you know, whether it's from fear, frustration, for whatever, rejection, whatever the case may be. I already know there's no reason to dwell on it or reason to question why. I just know how to get out of it. I just know the next step. You know, tell yourself the opposite. You know, even if you don't believe it. If you tell yourself, the reason why you feel that certain way or think or act that, say those certain things is because of pattern and repetition, and, you know, because you're conditioned. If you tell yourself the opposite enough times, it's going to become a habit. It's going to become automatic, and then you're going to believe it. I believe I'm the best at what I do. Am I? I don't care, because that's what I believe. You know?
Yeah.
So, and it's because I've told myself that a million times.
Right.
A million times. I can't even, if I told you right now what, I'd probably scare you if I told you my paragraph of affirmations I've said to myself probably every day for the last 2 years. And that's part of the reason why who I am today.
Are these affirmations in your phone, or do you keep them on your bathroom mirror?
Oh, I have them memorized.
They're
look
memorized.
at myself in the mirror. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I believe them. Yeah.
Wow.
And I didn't believe them at first, but it's because I've said it a million times. Not a million.
Was it saying it a million times, or was it actually putting some of it in place, and you started to build momentum?
It's both. No matter what, we're programming everything, the way that we act and think, and it's all we're programmed. Mm-hmm. We think certain ways and certain things because of our environment. You know, like my mom thinks that Chicago's terrible. It's a war zone because all she sees is the news, right? I think that, you know, whatever the case may be, we think a certain way because of things that have been conditioned, put in our brain. But if we have intention and we put different things in our brain, like if I was to start playing football today and I was to intentionally try to get better at a certain thing, and I just kept doing it over and over and over, I'm going to get better at it. So it's just the same thing with your thoughts. If I want to believe that I am brave, if I'm confident, I'm going to say I'm confident over and over and over and over until I'm confident.
That's wild. Do you feel like that is more common than the norm, or an outlier with most people? The ability to just say it and repeat it to yourself and believe it.
Oh, it's definitely not. It's not a common thing.
Oh, okay.
It's not. And I think what's common, I wish I had a survey, I could tell you this, but I think what's common is that people believe their negative thoughts, right? That first negative thought that they get, they believe it, and like we were talking about, it may not be so bad that it's like, where like, oh, I got to make a change. It's just enough to keep you safe. It's fight or flight, you know, you keep safe, you know, because that fear is, you know, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So you stay safe in that not doing something, that negative thought, but it's not enough to. But I try to tell people, like, if you fight that negative thought, the growth is behind that. I'm going to use an example. I used to be terrified of public speaking. Terrified. I had a bad experience, and so at my parties, I'm like, I got to level up, you know, do something different at my parties. So I'm like, I got to get on the mic a little bit. And there was times where I would pick up the mic and I would put it back down, and I would stop myself, and I would literally pussy out. And then it took myself talking to myself, saying to myself, you're going to kill it. Get on it. Just do it. And then sometimes I would go up there and still saying that to myself, and I would still put it back down. But now I'm like, and I still have the fear, but I know how to fight it now. And I say to myself, and I just do it, you know. And I've seen myself, and my assistants too, they've seen me get progressively better over the last month. It's only been like a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But it just goes to show you that, like, it's all about the things you say to yourself and your perspective. My perspective could be, I'm not going to get better if I say those things to myself. But my perspective is, if I say those things to myself over and over and over, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I do it.
Intention.
You know, and if you don't have intention, if if you don't have, I always say people have to have purpose, goals, and direction. You know, like if you have, you have to have purpose, you know, what are you doing? Right. And then goals, you know, it's like, how are you going to reach that purpose? You got to have short-term goals, right, to get to that. And then direction. If you don't have direction, where are you going? You could, if you don't have direction, then any road will take you there. You know, so you have to be, you know, having all those three things. And that's why I really think, and this is, I'm going to send this to you. There's this podcast by Brian Tracy. You know Brian Tracy?
Heard of him, yeah.
He's amazing. But I've watched it probably hundreds of times. I used to put it on softly when I would go to bed, so it would internalize it. And it just taught me so many things about, like, all the things that we're talking about, having goals, having, you know, because I think this with success in general, success has been studied now for years. There are proven success principles. And if you do what successful people do, you're more likely to be successful. If you do what failures do, you're more likely to be a failure. I mean, that's just common sense.
It's like it's forming new habits, breaking old habits.
Yeah. And so if you do that, and I'm a testament to it, you know, like a lot of things are, you know, just working, right? Investing, every hour you invest every hour more you work is an investment in your future, you know, like but again, like we talked about, for me, I'm just in a position where I can do that. You know, like if I had a girlfriend, it'd be a different story. I couldn't put all my eggs in this basket. If I had kids, I couldn't put all my, you know?
Yeah.
But now, that's why I just love the place where I'm at, because I could focus only on that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to, set your intentions out publicly?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Is there power to that, or are you more of a work in silence type person?
Well, if you see my social media, I'm definitely not a work in silence type person. But no, I think we covered a lot. We talked about a lot, and I think you know, for me, it was just I just love doing this. You know, speaking with people, and because I think a lot of people, I wish that there was a way. This might be an app I try to do one day. Where you learn a person's backstory, because a lot of people nowadays, they see someone on social media and you automatically judge them, right? It's a natural thing. You automatically, you form a perception of someone, whether it be good, bad, based on what you see, what they do. But if you learn a person's backstory, where they came from, what they do, you know, you might have a little different. Did you
see that Instagram video where the guy was wearing Meta glasses?
No.
And it was an example video of how they can combine software, like AI software, with these Meta Facebook glasses.
Okay.
And so the Meta glasses are tracking people's faces, and the AI software is Googling that face and is finding research on that person.
Wow.
And there were a handful of individuals where they would approach on the subway, on the sidewalk, and say, "Are you Professor Gilmore?
No way.
I took your class years ago.
That's crazy.
You wrote this paper on such and such." And then they're like, "Oh, yeah." And that opens a conversation.
Oh, that's so
more.
crazy. That's kind of just talks about what I just said. You know, like, yeah, if you could do that, like if you were able to do that, because, man, you wouldn't have, most of the time it's a negative thought. Most of the time it's a negative perception, right? It's not, I mean, unless you're a happy person, you're not looking at things with a happy lens, right? But if you saw that person worked from this, it came from obscurity, whatever the case may be, if related to you in some way, shape, or form, you know, then you would maybe not have that negative thought, or maybe give that person a chance, or maybe, you know, look at that person differently.
It's definitely a mindset shift to want to take the time to explore. Yes.
Yeah. Because a lot of times people just don't care, right? You know, it's definitely something that's, I'm an empath. I feel like, because with me, I definitely know a lot of people, and I've seen it, you know, like the bigger I get, you know, in nightlife, just in general with followers and stuff like that, the more hate I receive, you know, and it's just like, it doesn't bother me, because nowadays I expect it, and I feel like, and I've also learned that.
Is it hate that stems from envy?
I think so, you know, and I hate even saying that, because I like to think of myself as humble, because when you say that, you know, it's like, well, people are, you know, I don't want to feel conceited, because I'm not, but I just, but yeah, 100%. I feel like, it's just also just I feel like there's a problem with themselves, because any person that I've met that's happy, that loves their life, they want that for others. Mm-hmm. And you don't, I guess, look badly upon people that for no reason, right? Unwarranted negative energy, there's no reason for that unless it's envy, unless it's, they're not happy.
Yeah, it's interesting. People go out to like enjoy a nightlife and I'm sure it's more than just this, either flex and meet people, or just celebrate and have a good time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just, that's just the people that are going to be there.
I celebrate life every day. When people, I feel bad sometimes because people ask me like, how are you? I'm like, amazing. I'm like every day, even when I'm not, because I've definitely learned too, is that, and wow, this is just, I just analyze everything. And like, for me, the worst I'll feel is like at the end of one of my parties, it's not a successful one in my eyes. And what's so funny is that to other people, it's a success, but to me, it's not sometimes. No matter what, I just know that the next day after I sleep, it's all over. That was yesterday, like I'm fine the next day. I'm fine an hour later,
Yeah.
But I'm so passionate about it, and is that so that I feel shitty. And I feel bad for the servers too. Like if I'll send some of my servers money just because like if they don't do that well that night, just because I feel bad, But again, it's not my fault. But I try to make everyone happy all the time.
What led to your decision to seek sobriety with alcohol?
It wasn't a decision. It's actually really funny because I thought about this earlier. I couldn't think about the point, but where it happened. But now I remembered. It was one of my no-tell hotel parties. I think it was like a year ago. 2 years. Wow, 2 years ago now. I had done a bump of cocaine like I normally do, and I got a singeing pain. And that's never happened.
Like a burning?
Like it was just it was like a pain, like right in here. And when I tell you that I've done cocaine in excess, I said this on a podcast. There was a time from 2013 to 2019 where I did it 5-6 nights a week. Wow. And drank 5-6
Can't imagine what your blood pressure was.
I don't know. I mean, probably. I mean, no matter what it was, it's a good thing. I mean, right, it made me who I am today. But I definitely, I did it a lot, and it never had an issue. It's like I never had the next day like depression or stuff like that. I was always
like a low.
Yeah. And I did it so much that it just became a normalcy. I would still work out. I would still eat well, fairly well for the most part. I was progressing too. I was moving up in nightlife. So it was never like I had a problem. Even though I obviously had a problem. But after that, I'm just like, okay, I need to stop doing this.
That was a wake-up call?
Yeah, it was that time because I never
singeing.
Yeah, it was a pain in my forehead, and I couldn't even finish. I couldn't even go out and dance like the rest of the party.
Sure.
I was literally sitting in the hallway, just kind of like just feeling my head. I was like, and then it went away. But after that, I'm just like, okay, now I got to stop drinking because for me, I couldn't drink without it.
Oh, interesting. So meaning like if you were to consume alcohol, you would want cocaine.
I have to.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't know, do you have Asian flush? Have you heard of Asian flush?
I have heard of it. I don't really
Okay,
get it.
So for me, if you were to give me a shot of tequila right now and I was to drink it, I already am probably flush right now. I will get beet red.
Okay.
And it just affects me differently, right?
Yeah.
They say that it's, I guess it's, I'm missing an enzyme that allows us to metabolize
does
alcohol.
Cocaine fight that?
It does.
Well, it would vasoconstrict all the blood vessels.
Yep.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah. It's so funny is that I never heard it explained like that. But
yeah.
And it
so, how we just talked about Narcan in the class, we also talked about doing bumps of cocaine that can lead to a non-traumatic hemorrhagic stroke.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like typically when someone has a hemorrhagic stroke, it's led by trauma. So like taking a baseball bat to the head and you see trauma. But if someone was at dinner, at nightlife, they had a history of aneurysms, high blood pressure, several bumps of cocaine can just put you over the top and rupture an aneurysm.
That's crazy.
You can just stroke out on the dance floor right then and there.
Yeah. So what's really crazy is that, saying that, it's like that's why I feel like I can't believe I don't see it more often. You know?
And it could start with a raging headache.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Well, that was, when it started. And now in the last 2 years, I've probably drank, because I don't like to say that I'm sober, right? Because I guess Cali's sober. I still smoke weed. I still psychedelics, I've drank a couple times, and a lot of it's just a kind of experiment, because I like to see how I feel. And I even did cocaine. I don't know how long ago it was. And now it's just a physical thing where it doesn't feel good. The cocaine, I liked where my mind went, because I definitely, it's so funny, like my communication skills, my mental acuity, it increases, and I actually enjoy it. But after about, I don't know how long it was, maybe an hour or two, my body started to feel like shit.
So is there a reason for cocaine instead of, like any other, like methamphetamines?
Just because it was prevalent in the club scene. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, it was just, it's no matter, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would hear, I never tried it, but I would hear like students.
Never tried it, huh?
Never tried it. Like I would hear students like going for, those pills for like ADD and ADHD.
Yeah.
It's just like they would pull all-nighters, cramming for an exam. And this is what allowed them to get to where they need to get. Yeah. That productivity just like is there.
Yeah, no, for me, cocaine was just, it was just part of the job almost, especially at nightclubs. It was just a common thing.
Like, and would people just like bump?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much, man. Wow. It's so funny. And now it's just, like I said, I don't drink, I smoke weed all night,
Yeah.
But the hardest part was just turning people down, because people are asking me all the time. But now I think it's a pretty well-known
I wonder
thing.
if that like initiates a conversation into your current endeavors with mental health.
Yeah, no, it definitely does.
Like, oh, Eric, tell me more. Like, why don't you want to partake?
Yeah, no, it definitely does. I mean, I feel like, it's because there's people that come to my parties that don't drink. They a lot of them just smoke weed as well. And then like, I feel like a lot of people that just, they feel comfortable coming to my party as well. And it's definitely a place where they know that they don't have to drink to have a good time. I get that a lot too. So that's really nice. But, yeah, and a lot of people smoking weed too. Yeah, that's a common thing for sure. Because now you have those pens, that
vape pens, little dabs.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we haven't covered?
No, I think that was really it. I mean, yeah, we've talked about a lot.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
it was
awesome.
A pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah, you too, man.
And I'm sure you can tell. Like, I don't spend my time in the nightclub, so I
definitely.
never. That's the beauty of the podcast. It's like, I guess without this, I would have no business talking to you.
And this opened up a lot of stuff that you didn't know about or think about before.
Yeah, and it's just to see it through your lens.
Yeah.
And the change that you're trying to initiate. As far as creating a safe space to simply have a good time.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, I'll definitely be paying attention, and I hope the message perseveres with everyone that partakes and is present at your events.
Thank you.
Where can people find you if you want to be found?
So Eric Boss Chicago on Instagram is my biggest thing that I've been working on right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good luck with the rest of 2024.
You too.
I flew by, and like sooner rather than later, we're gonna start saying Happy New Year. It's insane.
Yeah, 100%.
Everyone else, thanks for tuning in. We will see you in the next episode.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.